Good morning, everyone. Good Monday morning, and welcome to Perspectives. Of course, it's a new day, it's a new week, the final day in November, and the final Monday as well. November 30th, it is 2020, and here we are. We're getting into December tomorrow, the last month of the year. How many people are happy to see 2020 go away? Well, maybe not. Who are we kidding? Yes, we are. And here we are this morning. Of course, our expert panelists are here. Senator Christopher Allie, he represents the private sector in the upper house of the Grenada Parliament, and that is in the Senate. And Mr. Byron Campbell, of course, he is the head of the rural unit, and he's here this morning with us. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning,
Brenda. Morning, Brenda.
Are you up
morning.
and alive this morning?
Yes, I'm hoping so.
Good. So what was the weekend lowdown? What happened? Senator Allie, I know your weekends must be like off the charts. Tell us.
And all the lovely rain that was falling this morning, I didn't want to get up at all. You understand? I know they're going to be speaking about agriculture, so I know the farmers would have been happy for the rain this morning.
Yeah.
My weekend was relatively quiet this time, Brenda. I had a interview done at Kelon Bob yesterday on his program.
Yes, I saw you.
Talking
It's a
about
good one.
what we expectations for budget and so on and so forth. So that was good. And then of course I got a little time to do a little personal stuff, so that always helps.
Okay.
Monday morning blues for me, for sure.
Dressed in blue.
The weekends are always a bit of agriculture, and as Chris mentioned, the rain, always a bit of reflection. Given the season, there's always a bit more housework and yard work to do, So very engaging weekends, Brenda, definitely.
Yeah.
Some reflection on the week. Well, I think the highlight had to be the resignation of the leader of the opposition.
Well, yes.
Yes.
That has to be it. My opinion, I think it's a good move. I think that clearly one observes some deficiency there, more energy in the party, probably. My good friend, the persuader, is now acting leader for some time. Other than that, we had, more meetings with the NNP, these community meetings. But one thing that stood out for me, Brenda, is that I saw pics of the PM in Carrick who on a treadmill, and he was going like 100 miles an hour,
Saw that too.
But say what you want, outside of the political thing, I think he leads in demonstrating the need for exercise and healthy lifestyle. And one has to compliment him for his age in terms of being able to do what he's doing. And I think it's an example that we should, at any age, exercise is so important, and lifestyle, what we eat, and certainly how we spend it. So I think this is something that he doesn't speak a lot about it, but just from observation, I think that's an excellent example, of course.
Oh, I think that's an excellent observation. He certainly exemplifies what it is to be, very healthy at that age. And how he does what he does. He's an early riser as well, and does it. I mean, a lot of us are amazed. I think it's amazing to be in your 70s and to be doing what he does, and to have the kind of schedule he has, being a prime minister of a country, and all that comes with that. So I mean, it is certainly something to exemplify on the personal side of his lifestyle, and I suspect he's also rigid with his diet, because at that age you have to also be rigid with that.
And as Mr. Campbell mentioned, he doesn't speak about it much. I think one of the best speeches I ever saw him give that was totally non-political, it was when we opened the Kirani James Athletic Stadium, and his message really, it was about fitness and why we should live a certain way, and how we take care of our cars. And he used the body, the analogy of the body as a machine, and how we should. That was one of the best speeches I ever heard him give. And of course, he qualifies to do that because he lives it and he looks it. I mean, I looked at the treadmill picture and I like, that's a 74-year-old man, because his birthday was, I think he was 74 on his last birthday, which was recently, and I thought, indeed, you're right. outside of the because we just tend to look at him in the political
Yeah.
sphere, but outside of that, he really exemplifies what we all should be modeling our lives.
Without
in
a
terms
doubt.
of witness. Yeah.
Without a doubt, I suspect, as Byron indicated earlier, that you're seeing a little uptick in political activity as well. With all these town hall meetings. You left to think what is behind some of these. I think it's a testing of the temperatures to see what is going on. As well as, I mean, we all know the election is June 2023, but it could be called any time.
Right.
So it is interesting for the politicians and the political scientists. I suspect there's interesting times coming up.
And then with the resignation
That's
of
right.
the leader of the National Democratic Congress, people like, okay, so that's a perfect stage to call it a snap election. But then, you know, political scientists and so will tell you, no, it's not really.
It's a good distraction.
Yeah,
We've been talking about COVID for the last 10 months. So at least let's talk something else. Let's get something else with the politics.
This is Grenada. It is the Isle of Spice, and we have to keep it spicy.
When I saw this, first of all, it took me by surprise. I was not expecting it. But then on reflection, I'm saying, are they likely to go outside of the party for leadership, or are they going to take it from within? I mean, how that process is going to go. But it'd be interesting for them to take some stock, and because leadership is important, you know, particularly in any context, it's important. So it's a time for their own reflection and to determine where and how they want to go forward. I think.
So, Adrian, Persuade on that same show you were on with Kellon yesterday, and when posed with the question, you know, about what they would do in terms of leadership, I thought he answered well by saying that they always have people there because theirs is you know, their history is different leaders at different times. So there's always someone there to rise to the occasion. And I wish that can not just be a concept, but that it can be actually true, and that, you know, someone emerges and they go on to strengthen their organization.
Well, succession planning in everything is important, even in political parties. And it's important. I think NNP is challenged with that as well. Succession planning, and all the parties have issues with who are identified to come up, whether within the ranks, as Byron say, import somebody to deal with it. That is important, and it speaks to how you see the party and the continuity and where you want to be and what you want to do and so on. So that is important, and I think every party has to be charged with that challenge.
Absolutely.
And work towards it.
But I think for me, was last night, I think, one of the amazing things that came forward, just a reflection of the U.S., because we are dominated with their news. There was, I think, within the new administration emerging, in putting together their media group within
their communication
unit.
It was 6 women.
All women.
I couldn't believe it. I think that's amazing. You know, it's be interesting to see how this would go forward, and so you've seen an administration that you've never seen before.
I think it's showing, you know, women are stepping up to the plate in leadership roles. Kamala Harris is one. I mean, she was before her was Hillary Clinton. I think women are now coming of their own to understand that leadership is not only restricted to the male gender. It's obviously wider than that, and I think that's an excellent thing. I think women bring a totally different perspective when they're on the table, and they need to be at that role.
It's broad-based as well, because these 5 women are communication specialists from Bernie Sanders' campaign, President Barack Obama's campaign, Joe Biden's before. So it's just a confluence of really great
But I
women.
agree with Chris, the biggest statement about women and their role. I mean, we've seen some in Europe in particular, where there's certain quotas. You know, you must have whether it's a third or 50% or minimum they're talking about in different leadership position and in different structure within organizations. And I think that's the way to go. Let's not take it for granted. Let's do the numbers.
Well, I mean, the reality, Byron, is that women have been leaders for years in the home, or women are leaders. I mean, we men, we tend not to want to say that, but that's the truth. Is the challenge still remains, though, to see them more in leadership roles in the private sector and at boards in private companies. It's still male dominated, and that is something that has to be worked on, and I think it's being worked on now. But women.
Is this something that the chamber is addressing or cognizant of? Or?
Well, I think so. I mean, that is part of the mandate. Although at times you see women hesitant to come forward. And I think that is something that has to be worked on. Some of them believe that, you know, they're not ready yet or what, you know, women also, there's this thing about they have to work twice as hard when they get there as well. So, you know, some of those things probably prevent women from stepping forward a little more. And I think that is something we have to encourage as males. Let them know that this is not about, you know, whether you're a woman or a man, but this is about your ability, and we see you and we treat you equally on that footing, and come forward. And that has to be the way forward. So, I mean, it is a work in progress. I think it's happening. It could happen a little faster, but I think it's happening. But I think we need to get them more into the boardrooms.
I think for all we say about women and men and all our differences and so on, which are dynamic and special, my own experience as a woman is that, I'm just going to insert myself into the conversation just to bring some is that men are more supportive of women getting ahead than women are. And that's a thing that women need to work on.
It is. I agree with that totally.
My male bosses have coached me, have given me greater opportunities than my female bosses. It is always a competitive, you know, it is tougher. I have had one female boss that have been excellent, almost like a mother. But in terms of being given opportunities, being open, you know, Brenda, you could do this. They have all been my male bosses.
And I mean, it is a transition.
So I think women need to take women along.
It's going to take a little while.
But women need to take women along.
I am one of the men who believe that a good woman by your side could only make you greater. Nothing else.
So that's a great way for us to wrap up the week that was and all the things that excited. This morning we have a great show for you. We have a wonderful gentleman here with us. He comes from the big parish. I must say that, because if I say that, we won't get a little knock. He comes from the big parish with a burst of energy and dynamism. He's our new senator, the senator representing the farmers, of course, for agriculture, Senator Roderick St Clair. We take a break, we'll be right back, and he joined the panel for a special conversation this morning. We'll be right back on Perspectives.
Christmas is happening, Christmas is happening, Christmas is happening at Republic Bank. Low interest rate happening, quick approval happening, Christmas time happening at Republic Bank.
And 2020 on a merry note at Republic Bank, as we spread the holiday cheer with our Make It Happen loans. Republic Bank is here to lighten up your spirit with quick approvals and cash prizes valued at over $10,000.
Christmas is happening at Republic Bank.
Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
There is a legacy, and then there is the MACKESON legacy. The MACKESON legacy under the Crown promotion, over $40,000 in cash and prizes to be won. Check under the black MACKESON Crown to win instantly. Win MACKESON customized merchandise. And in these times, who can say no to cold, hard cash? $5, $50, $500, say the word. Drink MACKESON to win instantly. The MACKESON legacy under the Crown promotion. Cash, much, MACKESON. Find your legacy under the black MACKESON Crown. Prizes are redeemable from shops nationwide. The Grenada Breweries Limited main office, sales office, and sales trucks. Terms and conditions apply. MACKESON, established 1907.
Dreaming of taking a break and escaping to an idyllic, happy place? Well, finding it does not require you to go too far. You already live in paradise. All it takes is for you to go out and discover it. Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique are blessed with a wide variety of accommodation that satisfy any taste and budget. Find the one that suits you and your family and treat yourself while having peace of mind that your health and safety is a priority. Knowing that we have gorgeous waterfalls, stunning beaches, and flavorful cuisine, let's be tourists in our own islands and enjoy paradise at home.
take a trip to the sea. Let your hair run free. Boy, you're a rebel in disguise. It's got the devil in your eyes. We fell in love right by the ocean. Made all our plans down on the sand. We fell in love right by the ocean. Made all our plans down on the sand. We fell in love right by the ocean. Made all our plans.
Welcome back to Perspectives. Here we are on MTV, of course on MTV, and we're streaming on MTV's Facebook page, our Perspectives Facebook page as well, on Partygrenada and TNR Communications. We are also there. So of course, follow those pages and share and be part of it. Also, you can take phone calls. Our telephone number, help me Nazim, 440 7171. That is the number, and you get to call in just about the last 15 minutes of our program. Now, this morning is an absolute pleasure to introduce this gentleman. Senator Roderick St Clair's involvement and passion for agriculture was planted and nurtured by his father in the lands in St Andrew as a boy, to the point of having his own agricultural plots after graduating from secondary school. He became an agricultural science teacher and is most known for his contribution for over 20 years at the Grenada Marketing and National Importing Board, MNIB. Whilst there, he was also pursued, and I think probably continues to pursue, and is highly successful at academia. He is presently the general manager of the Grenada Cooperative Nutmeg Association, the GCNA, and the newly appointed Farmers and Fisher representative in the upper house of the Parliament of Grenada. It's a pleasure to introduce Senator Roderick St Clair. Good morning, Senator St Clair.
Morning, Brenda. Morning, Campbell and Allie, and of course, farmers, fishers, and all listening public, local and overseas.
All right,
Morning.
great. Yeah. Good morning. It's a pleasure to have you here with us. Now, Senator St Clair, I monitored your maiden presentation to the Senate.
You monitored?
Yes, because I was at work, so I monitored, and I remembered. So one of the things that stuck out for me, it was a great presentation, I must add. It was so you. It was germane and real and all of that. And one of the things that stuck out is that you identified the need for more money, effective communications, effective lobbying for the sectors, supportive government framework, proper disaster management plan to withstand external shocks as some of the shortcomings and challenges impacting the sector. You did also go on to cite some examples of what's happening in Africa in terms of best practices and modernization that we can adopt on this side. The question is, what are the actions, as Senator, representing the agricultural sector, so to speak, what are the actions currently that you think are currently required to provide a conducive environment for increasing agricultural productivity and economic returns?
Yeah, well, it's a good question, and on my way here this morning and reflecting a lot of thoughts, and we have to stay focused, and it's a message I've been preaching many years now. It may sound philosophical, but we have to stay focused and not be changing the message to our farmers, our fishers, and to other stakeholders, whether it's the banking sector, whether it's the persons involved in marketing, etc. From the policy end, because that's where it starts. And if we say in one thing this year and another thing in the next 2 years, then how do you plan? How does the farmer plan? When he goes to find financing, the bank says, but hold on, but the plan change, because government policies shift. And so it disrupts someone who wanted to invest down the road, maybe improving the whole marketing system. It interferes with it. So the first thing is that we need some stability and a proper focus as to what we're going to do in the next 5, 10 years in our country and kind of keep it stable. So somebody could invest. If they want to go into poultry, into pigs, into beekeeping, they must know this is the trust, And I say this particularly because I was reading only last night the whole issue about the Coastal Management Master Plan, which was highly endorsed by the World Bank, was done in 2016, 2017. And then only to realize only about 2 weeks ago, there is another big consultation coming with a new plan that says, well, that first plan was a kind of visioning plan, So the real plan is what will happen now. So that worried me last night. I went to sleep and I said, well, so that question you're asking me there, this is the first part of my answer. But of course, we need a supportive environment. And the issue of money you mentioned is critical. Because for our farmers and fisher folks, they may try to start with what they have, and they will remain hand to mouth for 3, 4, 5 years. But sometimes they need that extra investment, that irrigation. They need that extra engine. They need a place to store their fish properly. Where do they get that from? And I believe that we have several individuals, Grenadians in particular, in the diaspora, who has money sitting in banks, who have monies wanting to make it work for them, who really want to do something for the country. Yeah. And from the agricultural landscape, I believe that we need to have the IDC, I think it's the the Industrial Corporation, need to have some investment profiles, whether it's for beekeeping, whether it's for pig, for whatever it is. And we can find those things that are connected to markets. And they now can able to add monies to this pool and invest for where they will get a financial return and so on. That is from the commercial perspective. So that even locally, the banks are not pressured 100% in supporting these enterprises. And I think this is a major way that we can help with that. I believe that from a policy standpoint, we have to be more positive with the support we provide for our locals. So for example, again, I was reading this plan with the whole master plan with this whole coastal stuff. And a lot of, even if one in 2016, which was amazing, how much more hotel rooms, how much marinas, how much, all of those things. But I said to myself, as I met a fisherman and a taxi man and a busman who does farming in Spiceland Mall on a Friday. He said, but agriculture and tourism have to connect, I said, you're serious? He said, yeah. He said, when these people come here, how do they get food? How do we feed them? And so, yes, we could speak of all these persons coming into the country, whether it's 10,000 more. What is our food plan? What is our waste management plan? What is our water plan? Because this is additional pressures on our system. So what I'm saying is that if you put those things in place, then I can farm, and I must make sure that farming to supply X amount and make that connection. So I think I would say these are just some of my initial thoughts on that. And then our farmers, our fisher folks, will continue to function. But let us not lose the fact that we have the commercial farmers and fisher folks, and we have those who do it for their own enjoyment, and they give their neighbors some and so on. And we must not confuse the both of them in the mix, right? We must not confuse them. When someone, I was reading further, and he come back to leadership and examples. And I was amazed, I was watching TV last night about after 10, and they were showing this lady who have this big farm with ducks and turkeys in the US. And she mentioned the whole issue, but as George Washington used to do. And as Thomas Jefferson, I said, but he was the president of America. So I went on Google because the technology exists, and I said, these guys own big farms. I say, but okay. So you could understand why sometimes great countries do great, because of the direction that is pushed or the interests that individuals are involved in. So it comes back again to focus and examples.
Yep. Focus on examples. You're in the position now that you can influence that. But Mr. Campbell?
Well, I just want to congratulate Senator on his appointment. I think it gives new visioning, new hope, a new perspective on the sector. He talks about this collaboration and the kind of directions you want to go. So I think that for me gives me some hope in terms of the kind of representation that we're going to have now, that we have now in the Senate. But I just want to point out a couple of things, Senator, that here we have that agriculture still seems to be very low in terms of on our economic scale, contributing like 5% of GDP. That's pretty low. Notwithstanding, I mean, the numbers are low, but in terms of its impact or its contribution to rural development is significant. I mean, that's the point I want to make. But in this vein, you're talking about $400 million in terms of food imports, and you talk about the connection with the tourism sector. I think it's 30% of tourists, stay-over visitors. 30% of the money they spend is in food, and beverages. So it tells me that there's a lot of money to be made there, and growth in terms of the economy if we're able to reduce on that import of food. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, is it possible? Can we do this?
Well, it's a good question. And as a friend of mine always say, boy, good partner from Trinidad, study the guy say, what are you asking me answers for? These are answers. Because if you want to do, you can do. So I ask myself, we want to expand the airport and put more lanes, we do it. We want to build a stadium, we do it. We want to do housing projects, we do it. So why are we not doing for agriculture? What were we able to do for those that we don't know how to do it for agriculture? It's the same methodology. How do we get irrigation system, greenhouses, because we see the farmers and fisher folks, they're unreliable. We cannot get the ice machines not functioning. There is no jettings and marks. Why we can't do it? Is it because we're afraid to invest? Is it because persons don't have interest to put monies there? But who are these persons? A lot of the other things I'm speaking about are, some is government in partnership with others. And then you may say, well, maybe, there is no confidence, so why put money there? And so it is where you want to see success. And that's why I say we have to keep focused. So if we want to do it, we'll get it done. We say, okay, the airlines are coming in, but the problem is that they have issues, so we need to help with this subsidy of the monies because they can't make enough money when they have no loans to go back. We find the money to do it. If we want to go to a party in the morning, we find the money, whether we have to borrow it from a friend. So the point I'm making is that if we want to get it done and we believe in it, we'll get it done. But if we have all of these hotels and all of this potential, government could run high, government could run low, has an obligation to, just so we could organize the concessions, just so all of those things for the hotels and the tourism sector. We could organize the connection of the market and say, hey, you must buy 20% or 30%. What is it we need to do? Yes, there might be some private individuals that may be able to do a few things. If anything you have in any society. But is that the type of country we want to, well, if two persons could do it, then they do it? Or do we want to have a holistic development that has an impact? And not just an impact that is reliable, because the time will come when we have 10 and 20,000 hotel rooms. They will then tell us now, not hotel rooms, but when our guests come, they can't get enough food, It means that our locals may have to eat less so that these individuals that come in can get food. or do we produce because there's a guaranteed market, and so the investors say, okay, fine, I know we can get market, so I will put money in to support and make sure that happens. It's all in our mind, and if we want to see it, we'll get it done.
Yeah. And while it might be in our minds, yes, as you're talking, is the areas of interest, and you mentioned the word organization. So there's someone who wants to invest, whether it be a bank, a credit union, a financier, an investor, look at agriculture or look at somebody who's coming to them with some sort of proposal to do some business in agriculture and say, I don't think so. My ROI won't be where I want it to be. You know, as you mentioned it, they're not organized. I get peppers this week, I don't get it next week. So it goes right back to what you said at the start, leadership, and that falls.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here, and that's why I've looked for the last many years, and that's why I'm here, and there's no turning back.
No,
we have to finish it. We have to sit down and we have to get it right. I remember speaking to, for example, the Hotel Association. And sorry if I keep going onto the hotel sector, because that seems to be our biggest market in the country, because we have so much.
No, because that's agriculture's partner. That's her lover. So they can't separate. That's what it is.
Serious?
It really is, yes.
Well, I don't know, because the thing about it,
we can't separate them. We keep separating them with the narratives, but we can't separate them. We're finding that out.
No, we see Linda. I say Brenda, yeah. Linda straight out, good morning. We haven't had that turn debate myself and Linda.
That's okay. Yeah, that's okay. That's okay.
Brenda, the story is let me tell you something. There are two issues we have to look at here. One, the issue of no policy regarding that connection between agriculture and tourism. And I read this again, the same master plan with the coastal stuff. And he mentioned we have to connect with tourism, and we have to connect the fishing. I said, well, but what is that policy statement that's saying that government will ensure in collaboration with such and such, and so the banks ride on that. The investor ride on that.
Right.
Whether the Allie from the private sector knows that, you look and see, you do your environmental analysis and see where the thing is.
Right.
And we only say the farmers are wasting time. They don't know how to run a business.
Yeah.
My God, if we do that to all our children, you head hard, you can't learn. Nobody will learn. They teach us in psychology.
Yeah. So we need to move, as we said earlier, from concept to living it.
Yes.
So Senator Allie.
Yeah, and I'm probably going to be a little controversial this morning and disagree to some
That's
degree.
okay, we're in a pink shirt, so that'll soften the blow.
No, but I also believe that, and I agree a lot with what Roderick is saying, and Senator is saying, but I think it is not as dire as it sounds, because we have a lot of initiatives already that have started working. I could speak to the Silver Sands initiative, to the Sandals initiative. I even know of some hoteliers that have brought in seeds and made arrangement with certain clusters of farmers to plant and to ensure that they get certain types of things. Because for even the hotels, there is this thing about from farm to table.
Yeah.
That is a big thing for them now in their marketing. So it is in the hotel's interest to engage the local farmers and ensure that, but there's an other side to it that we're not speaking about. And that's the reality. A lot of farmers don't treat farming as a business. And hence we're going to talk about just now, I mentioned about the risks with the banks and so on. And they need to organize. You know, in Grenada, I think the word cooperative is a bad word. Anytime we use cooperative, it's failure. So we have to get a next word to bring farmers together. Yeah. But we do have an issue of economies of scale, and there's not enough private sector investment in farming. And we talk about partnership. I haven't seen a major business in Grenada get involved in farming, with the exception of probably IGA, and doing some of their own, get involved in farming in a commercial way and bring technology to bear into the farming situation. Yeah. We don't use the technology, and that is probably a reflection of the risks, and is a reflection of the farmers themselves. I spoke recently about the shade houses. How many of us use shade houses to ensure that there's consistency in supply, quality, and you don't have to depend on the weather. I mean, the reality of it is that agriculture, and to a lesser extent fishing, is a high-risk industry, high-risk sector. It is. And if you bring projects to financial institutions, and I don't believe the banks are the place to finance agricultural projects, because the cost of financing there is too high.
Okay.
It has to be probably a developmental type bank that gets concessionary financing, and my co-host here understands that, and that farmers could attract financing at very low interest rates because of the risk. And you cannot get away from the risk.
Wasn't it out of that need that the Grenada Development Bank was born?
Correct.
Because
Correct.
it was an agricultural aid bank.
Yeah.
That's right. And farmers, in my view, are not to go to commercial banks. That is not the source of financing. And because when you plot out your farm and what you do with your farm, you must ensure for any supplier, for any person that you have to supply to, first of all, you have to ensure consistency of supply. You have to ensure quality and volumes. And you could produce beyond your acreage and get higher yields and then look to the export side. And that's where Roderick talked about marketing and so on, and how we structure that and to be focused. But, you know, when you talk about policy and support by government, I think government is to create an environment. It is not to get directly involved. That must be left up to the players. So the farmers, the private sector people, the hotel, they need to come up with arrangements and contracts that work for them. It is not about, government needs to just give the environment. So farmers have concessions that is given to farmers. No farmer in Grenada pays corporation tax if they have a commercial entity. They have thing on vehicles. The fishermen have huge concessions on whether it's on engine, whether it's on fuel, and so on. But there's a huge need in the fishing industry for management. The gaps. And we know a guy would bring in 10 tuna today, make $20,000, and by next weekend he books. You understand? And that is a cultural thing that we need to remanage and refocus. And so we can't get away from the fact that I think agriculture and fishing have been stigmatized, so to speak, over the years, in that, you know, you're in dirty clothes, dirty pants, and you're going with a fork and a spade. Those days, to me, and when you speak about the U.S. and that thing you read about with those presidents, the U.S. strength and the backbone of the economy is farming.
It's farming.
And being able to supply themselves with food. But what have they done? The U.S. is the most controversial country in the world because they subsidize their farmers. They will, if a farmer overproduces in the U.S., they'll dump the food and give the farmer subsidy. You know that, Roderick. And the farmers probably better off taking the subsidy than continuing to plant. It is how they have formulated their thing because they understand.
But it sounds like they're working with a plan, like you know. So
and that's why I say I agree with Roderick in that we must have a plan. The strategy, and you know, COVID, unfortunately, to go back to COVID, COVID has opened it up and said to us, listen, this is a major weakness. We can't depend on a boat coming into the show every week to give us a container of lettuce and a container of beet, whatever, when we could do these things here. So the issue is now, how does the government create the policy or push the policy to say to farmers that if you give me 1,000 pounds of lettuce a week, instead of going into wastage, I could do something with it.
I just want to comment also. Sorry, you have to go to break.
Before you do, we need to take a quick break. And when we come back, we pick up with you, Mr. Campbell. And also, budget is on Wednesday. And we just want to hear from you, Senator St Clair. How have you, you know, what sort of discussions have you had? And my question really is about what can we see in there about national food security, land use, community-based agriculture and all of that. So, no, but we take a break. I know there are many big topics, but we try to slice them down. We take a quick break. We'll be back. It is Perspectives on a Monday. We'll be right back.
There is something new to the classic Wester Hall rum look. Wester Hall Estate Rum. what's your number? Drink responsibly.
Juve Chocolate. Raise your bar. Dreaming of taking a break and escaping to an idyllic, happy place? Well, finding it does not require you to go too far. You already live in paradise. All it takes is for you to go out and discover it. Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique are blessed with a wide variety of accommodation that satisfy any taste and budget. Find the one that suits you and your family and treat yourself while having peace of mind that your health and safety is a priority. Knowing that we have gorgeous waterfalls, stunning beaches, and flavorful cuisine, let's be tourists in our own islands and enjoy paradise at home.
Welcome back to Perspectives. Thank you so very much, all of you, joining us across the various platforms this morning. We're focusing on agriculture. If you have to leave the house, please leave on time, because remember, we have a nation to build discipline in all things. You can catch us on your devices if you have to turn the TV off now. Before we took the break, Mr. Campbell, you were about to chip in with something.
I was saying that, and the Senator is aware that we have a lot of challenges in the sector. Challenges of the aging farmer, for example. How do we get more young people into the sector? And Senator Allie pointed out, technology is going to be a major thing there in terms of shade houses and how we use technology. And critical business, that this is a business. You're there to make money, profitability. But the question of financing is an issue, because we look at the numbers last week when our colleague from the Banking Association was here. 1.3% of all the money that's on land goes to agriculture. So it's very, very limited. So what's the alternative to that? So there are international institutions and organizations. So for example, the International Fund for Agricultural Development, you get a lot of grant funding or very low interest rate funding that the government is beginning to access to be able to bring grant financing. Because if you look at a young person into agriculture, they have not yet accumulated assets, so they don't have the collateral, so they can't go to a financial institution to start with.
Right.
Access to land.
Yeah.
Although we have a high percentage of idle lands, is not accessible to young persons or individuals who want to go into production. Can you set up a land bank? Is it possible? I know there's some initiative by the government to do this. How successful is it? Where is it going? So finance, the aging of farmers, but I want to support also that there's a lot happening, We have some large commercial, like Cane Co, for example. We have, in the agro-processing area, the La Grenada Industries. We have the GCA, Cocoa Association. The chocolate sector, cocoa sector, has been doing some fairly robust investment there. That's excellent. That's the kind of direction we want to go. So the foundation we have, how can we be, but the question I have for the Senator Agriculture is, notwithstanding we outline all this issue, what's your strategy in terms of how are you going to be effective? What are you going to do different to have some results?
We've cited the challenges.
We're
tackling them.
Well, what I've been doing different, actually, I don't know what I will do different. What I've been doing different, I started being different already. Moving forward, there are a few things, because, and people say, I didn't know that, because I say, I'm the senator, They say, I say, okay. They say, where's your office? I say, office. They say, you don't have that? I say, no. And they laugh at me and they say, oh, you're saying? I say, yeah. So, So in the meantime, no, because you have to bring order in the place.
Correct.
So I've been able to speak to a friend of mine, they call him Scaly out in Baltazar, and he has a little desk area that he's created for me. So I'm trying to get a computer and hopefully get a body that I can put there. All at my cost in the meantime, because I have no other support of getting that as yet, hopefully. So I need to have, you need to have a place of abode, a place from which to operate. And that has been missing from previous senators to now. So that's what I'm doing different. I'm trying to create an office from which we could operate. So that's the one thing. We also are in dialogue with many of the different groups to understand the issues, because it's very important, and that has been an issue, the lack of connection and communication. That has been, and I've been speaking to them a lot, and I've been getting a lot of information. I've been reading a lot personally. There are a lot of issues that I would not speak on easily if I'm not properly informed, because there are a lot of dynamics, a lot of documents that are prepared, even if they might not be implemented or done. The fact is that they are there on the books, they are there as policies. Also reading the law a lot, looking at some of the legislation. Because last time, for example, I was reading the Fisheries Act. Because it's very important to understand those things and not make yourself look as a fool.
Correct.
Right? Consulting with people of the past and so on. So that is key. I don't make no joke about that.
Absolutely.
But also, I've been in dialogue with the Minister for Fisheries and Cooperative, and as I told her, Ms. B. in Oxford, that I give the Prime Minister a medal in that she is also responsible for cooperatives and fishing, of course by extension agriculture, because the whole issue of the cooperative, the issue, we need to do some work there. Because we have the farmers and fisher folks going out and work hard, and then we still want them to come back and manage their affairs. And most of the big businesses, they hire people like myself, they hire people like Brother Allie to run the business for them. Like Nutmeg and Cocoa, they hire me to run business. But a little group in Chantimel or somewhere, another group in St. David, we expect the farmer after his whole day work come 5 o'clock in the evening to say they're running business. So as I discussed with the minister, can we find some sort of administrative support hub that and which could be that to provide that key, maybe like a cluster of maybe 3 or 4 in that parish, so they provide that sort of business approach to keep the books, to keep the direction, organize meetings, because that isn't lacking. And when you speak to the farmers and the fisher folks, they are saying, well, yes, they see the wisdom. One guy in the Sotes, one of the farmers say, fisher boy, he said, boss, we're really trying, but we can't. I mean, so that is an area which they organize, right? Then we need to look at the Minister for Agriculture. We have extensive discussion on some key issues, and some things I cannot discuss here because it's strategic and tactical, right? Where we are looking at different interventions or certain things, and I already see the headway in those areas. But also, I would want to have some, what I call senator programs. Right. So for example, the issue of youth and so on. I was speaking to one of the fisher folks, the issue of I remember when computers just come out, what used to happen? During summertime, we have children going to summer class to learn how to use the computer. So what is so difficult? To us have a little summer camp to show them about fishing and about cabbage and about poultry and have that mechanism. So that is something that we want to push. I do have financing for it. The government speak about they have monies for youth. I have a little bit of concern. More monies for youth. I would prefer to say there is monies for agriculture, there is monies for sewing and craft, and we go attract 20% youth to that. Right. Rather, because I wonder, when you say you have money, is it to buy more shoes and to look nice and to go and bling as a youth?
Could it be money, for example, you have the 4-H movement, which is where youths are targeted, encouraged, and exposed to the agricultural sector. So the money could be directed towards the 4-H youth sector, for example.
So still you have money for 4-H.
Yeah.
See, you see, because he's in messaging.
Yeah.
You put him on the table.
He's in messaging.
In his organization,
Yes.
World Enterprise Development.
That's correct.
We have monies.
For the 4-H movement.
You speak,
So we
you speak
have
to the person.
so we have resources
Right.
directed to the 4-H movement. Because say if you want to capture the youth early, let's look at those that are interested with it, and let's start from primary schools. So setting up the model farms in selected schools.
And you engage
that's
in training in particular.
That's
sectors of
correct.
agriculture.
That's correct.
And even the camp
That's
idea,
correct.
even the camp idea is great because now we're getting ready to go on the Christmas break,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm seeing Christmas camp, and I'm still seeing math and English and all of
Yeah.
that at the camp.
Yeah.
But just give the students a break from math and English. So let's say we get them together to focus, the 4-H club members focus on that.
Yeah.
Then we get another group that's kind of technological minded and put them together with coders.
Yeah.
So let's say they create an app for how we track things in agriculture. So I guess that sort of centralism you're looking at.
Yeah, I want to bring that to the table. I also believe that there's great opportunities, and Brother Allie, from an MNIB standpoint, I think MNIB has a significant role to play in the whole way that whole fruits and vegetable part is coordinated as it connects to the government institutions, so a school feeding program.
Right.
Again, not lip service. When the government earmarked $3 million for school feeding program, to me, that should be monies that goes to MNIB in a disbursement for a procurement mechanism that is going to ensure the food security of our nation's youth, our hospitals, etc., etc., etc. So there is a guaranteed market for the farmers, and because MNIB has that mechanism and it could create that confidence. Rather than MNIB fighting to compete with other farmers to sell to the hospital for sometimes much higher prices. Of course, farmers are not saying you don't have to get good prices, but for much higher prices, and then the same taxpayers and all of us, including the farmer who got a little bit of more money, had to pay it back out.
The cost.
Yeah, so I'm saying this type of rationalization I would like to see. The issue of training and capacity building even at the upper level, because a lot of our farmers, as we say, the elderly is going, but that new generation, we need to still make sure that they are trained properly about agriculture and doing it right. How do
Science.
doing it properly. This is very important.
I know, just as the senator has been putting on my hat on marketing board now. And they say that we have also been having extensive discussions with the minister as to how we could strategically reorganize the marketing, and just as Roderick is suggesting, so a lot of us having that similar discussion as well as we try to get a more assured understanding of where markets can be and what they can do. But we have issues at marketing board as well that we have to deal with. So those are issues that we're taking on. But I can't let Roderick go without asking a question.
Nutmeg.
Nutmeg.
You took it from my mouth.
You know that because you know how passionate I am and sometimes heavily critical of that organization. So I want to, I know in his new role, tell us, and my question is that, what is the strategic focus for Nutmeg as it relates to value added? That's what I want to pinpoint it there. I know we have other issues with exporting now and markets and so on, and development of the sector, but in particular to value added. And the reason I want to home in on value added is because when you see the success in chocolate and cocoa with value added, is there a short-term plan or medium-term plan that's being looked at by your board and in Nutmeg as to where we go with value added?
Yeah, man. I mean, and Mr. Campbell is a director on the board, and he knows very well. So if I'm lying, he could tell. He said, "Hold on, he lying here."
Right.
Actually, when I went to the GCNE, a question was asked to me. And they say, "What are you going to do different? What are you bringing to GCNE?" Because if you're hiring somebody, they must be able to do something. And in my whole experience from working in the produce lab with Dr. Marcel, Ms. Rahim, and so on, growing up, looking at the whole agro-industrialization, when I got into GCNE and I look around and I say, but, I mean, yes, we're using the nutmeg, but what happened to the pod that we used to use in the revolution?
Correct.
What are we doing with, so in my mind went working. And so sometime in November last year, we came up with a series of products, some of which are already on the market, not maybe extensive. So for example, We are saying that we are using every part of the nutmeg right now, except maybe the leaves haven't found the formula yet. So with 2 seconds, we have used the pod, and we are doing one of the best nutmeg hot sauce in Grenada.
I've had it.
You had it?
Good, yes.
You see, so I'm not lying. We also have a nutmeg cooler. It's one of the best local drink. You can use it straight, or you can blend it with alcohol and so on. We also, out of the same pot, we are doing a seasoning, a green seasoning. We are also doing from the same pot a pickle, right? Then we take the nutmeg itself, and we are doing some nutmeg spice teas with blended of some with soursop, some with babande, and so on. And those actually we are selling during the tourist, when the tourist was going. And so that has affected me a little bit.
How did you introduce those on the market?
Well, the good thing...
I ain't see the sauce yet, and I ain't see the pickle.
I got the sauce
right.
from
Well,
someone. How did we introduce it on the market?
Good question. The good thing about the GCNA is that, the good thing about GCNA is that we have a store at the Guave plant where it's a main tourist attraction, and also the St. George's, we have all things nutmeg. And so we are able to introduce it there to the tourists because they are exotic products, And so
we are exotic. I am.
Yeah. You see, I was grown to good tourists. You see the problem.
No, but
tourist connection.
I mean, I have not heard of those products. I mean, there's a,
so I failed.
Yes.
No, because to me,
you succeeded well in getting the products.
Yeah,
getting
it starts to get us energized and to get us buying and feeling GCNA.
So hold on, I don't finish yet. So then we also have the ground nutmeg in the shaker bottles, and we have them in different languages, information in German, French, English, with QR codes connected to it. So that is using the ground nutmeg. We also then went further and say, what can we do with the shells? So we are grinding the shells, and you must have the nut mass, which is a potting mix.
Yes,
that we,
right?
So that we have introduced.
For seedlings and so on.
Right, but we also have used the shell to make what they call nutcrete, which is a composite of cement and the shell, so that you don't have to use this sand and gravel, so it's very environmental focused.
Nutcrete?
Yeah, nutcrete. So that, we need to do some more work in terms of the different type of mixtures and so on, but it wouldn't be maybe for like to do like a big building yet, but like to do like ornaments and so on, and flower pots and so on. So if you come to the office, you'll see that we have been in World Food Day, we have been in the Independence Expo, displaying all of these products.
We want to see it everywhere. We want to feel it.
So the issue about that now, Chris, the issue about that is that we are at a stage now where we need to see how do we create investment profiles to attract investors to get into because those products we know do have the potential, and both for local and both for overseas. So that is the stage we are at right now. And so and that is why we're saying, I come back to the government and forget the GCNA government, etc. We say nutmeg is a strategic sector. How do we work? Just find $2 million, $3 million, maybe because for example, the cooler, it's a drink that you can maybe partner with one of the bottling companies and you can bottle it. So GCNA necessarily doesn't have to physically be doing everything. Like Cocoa, for example. Cocoa basically started off that Juve thing in partnership with a buyer from overseas. Okay, so but sometimes depending on who you connect with, they may not have that capacity. So this is a clarion call for investors.
You need to start having conversations with myself and the chamber and so on. We could link an IDC and see how we could get investors. I kind of different. I don't believe government needs to get involved in this. I think we just need to reach out to people, the chamber, the IDC who know of investors. We have a lot of people in Trinidad, I think, are willing to invest in agro-processing. And will be probably happy to look at just two of your products and see the potential and move it.
Can we approach the CBI initiative on this?
Are you speaking as a director?
Speaking to the chairman.
The chairman.
There is opportunities. I mean, I'm so excited to hear what Roderick said, because I never knew that you had all these products.
That's why I
catching in public.
We are so good at keeping secrets.
Yes, we put him on the spot.
Yes, no, because
Grenadians, we keep the wrong secrets,
Yeah,
so good at keeping things to our chest.
I am an avid supporter of nutmeg. I'm heavily critical as well, but that's why I told him I want to hear what his value add. I think that's one of the areas that we could exploit that product and do so many things. I'm so happy to hear the research and development in those areas and some of the final products.
That's
and I mean, that is, I think, the next step
serious
of as you say, let us link up.
I think that is really great research and development and innovation as well. And if you're going to continue doing products like that, as we were talking about, you know, the training and all of that, in development of the technology, you know, apps to attract the produce to your market, and that is really, really critical. So you have to lead that. You have the energy for it. You have the back for it.
He does. And if I could chime in here.
Which hat do you have on, a director hat or
no, I have a farmer hat. Farmer hat, absolutely. So here's the situation. So I've grown up in a farm family, and nutmeg in particular, and Christmas and nutmeg had a very good relationship in that nutmeg determined what quality
don't use the word bonus. Use another
quality of Christmas you're going to have. So the question is, and I know, and it is important information, that the industry in terms of the market right now, in terms of the main markets, given the COVID, is down significantly in terms of prices, so that's very depressed. And farmers could even see a drop in the advance price, possibly. But more so, farmers are thinking about, well, it's Christmas, is there a bonus? Is there, you know, what's been happening? But that question is for the general manager, the senator.
Well, the response to that is a bonus is paid based on a surplus of trading. You sell, you make X profit, and that is the principle of a bonus. There was no bonus last year, last trading year. The trading year is from July to June of the following year. And so this year it's even in a worse situation. We understand the challenges, and the farmers, I know, they expect a bonus, but you know, expectation has to do with, as I say, what the market is saying. You know, people feel we need to do more, as Chris is saying, well, you know, you're all wasting time, what are you doing inside there? But trust me, sometimes when you put your foot, it's just that the farmer say, put the boots on and come in the land and you would understand. Put on your shoes and put on your jacket and come in the office and you would understand. But I think we are trying to survive. That is what I would say in this hard time. The market has been tight, the prices are depressed. The buying is like, we're not sure, it's the same like Grenada. What is going on, the next wave is going to happen. But what we do know is that we've been buying most time fortnightly from the farmers. It's tight because...
You had an announcement that they're buying on the second or the third.
Yeah, there's some farmers say, you know, take an IOU on this, and there's all different semantics, you know, and it's good to get those suggestions. But at the end of the day, we are buying this week, we bought last week, and we have made a commitment. Jump high, jump low. We would find a way how we can buy every week. So that is not even not the bonus, but it's the consolation of the bonus. And if I may say, at the same time, and I saw it on GIS news, so I could say it even if it happened. On Friday, there was also the signing of the grant that the government has been speaking of for many months, that farmers think that GCN received that. I never did until, well, at least we should deposit a check this morning and make sure it cash off.
What's the amount?
It's 1 million.
As a price support.
In the grant, there's a price support, and that is strictly for the purchase of nutmeg. So this, in addition to the little that we have floating, should go, I wouldn't say a long way, because Brother Campbell is there and he understands. But in one purchase week, you could buy $500,000 of nutmeg.
Let me just say, Brenda, and I want to support what Roderick said. It is not always about bonus. And in this difficult time, all of us, private sector, government, everybody is difficult, and this Christmas would not be a Christmas as we know it, and would not be a Christmas with surpluses. So that a lot of us in businesses can't pay bonuses, we can't pay profit sharing, and I see no difference with the nutmeg. But what is important is what Roderick is saying. I am continuing to buy.
Yeah.
So I am continuing to provide you with
To
income,
put monies in their
to put
pockets.
monies in your
Yeah,
pocket.
yeah.
You could pay your bills. You could
Keep the
give your
business
family a
ticking.
Christmas. It
Yeah.
just wouldn't be as
The
Christmas
surplus
as we
won't
knew
come.
it before
Yeah.
with the surpluses. And that is important
We
because
after
all
8
of us
o'clock,
need to
so we have
understand
to.
that.
Oh, this conversation was always going to be long.
No,
Mr.
you
Campbell,
will always call us back sometime in the future.
Yes,
Yeah,
we will,
available.
because we have to address marijuana, the big topic.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
have to
uh-huh.
address, but just quickly though, your own thoughts on that and how
Yeah, I was speaking to one of my colleagues. Actually, I have someone who has volunteered to be, whenever with a small stipend, to be like a media and communication coordinator for me also. That is something that I've also done to help me along in the message. And I say, what's your opinion on marijuana? I say, she said, just in case somebody asks you that, Hey, watch. Marijuana, we say it's illegal, it's not good because it's illegal. Right? When the regulation change, if we say to make it legal, then it's legal. Okay, that's one thing. Now, what about marijuana that we are concerned about? We are seeing there are good of it. There are many studies showing, I need to study some more details about it, but it seems that it's having positive effect in certain medication and therapy and so on. I don't see this legalization of marijuana thing as a matter of a man feel he could have 5 spliff in his pocket and go down the road and buy the bus stop and sell 2 pounds of marijuana. I don't see that. My interpretation about it is that the country has given permission to grow in certain zones marijuana that will be channeled in certain ways. That is how I see it. Now, if we want to slide and say, well, if a man have a spliff is okay, well, that's a different discussion. I think that when the time comes, we debate that at the Senate. But it's agriculture.
Yeah.
But we must not set it up that persons outside they feel, well, they're waiting. Because also, we must not be marginalized in those opportunities. So, for example, in St. Vincent, when a lot of the folks there hoping that they would have been able to really provide the authentic Vinci weed, is maybe some kind of greenhouse weed and something. So it's still not the genuine thing. So in Grenada, we have to look and see what do we want to be.
Absolutely.
What would be our geographic marker on that?
All right. And as we look forward to Wednesday, what specific guidelines have you given to influence what we would hear in the budget?
Well, I still reading. I want to listen the Prime Minister's, not the Prime Minister, the Minister of Finance statements. And I would respond accordingly in various ways. I would look at the numbers. I have requested the past couple budget, because we must not be going solid around the moon over and over and over.
Yeah, but in terms of the budget itself, did you have a consultation that impacts what that will be a part of what we would hear on Wednesday?
No, well, for me, I would say somewhat. Like I've been speaking to the fisher folks, the poultry people, and all of those, been different presidents, not necessarily the grouping. I've had discussion in terms of feedback. But in terms of what I would say, I still want to see what the numbers are.
Naturally,
I want to see what the past is before I make. Because you see, I go in and make statements, or us making statements on behalf of the farmers, just like we are not operating on our own.
But what are you looking for?
What are we looking for? Well, of course, we want to look and see how do we get incentives. That is important. We want to hear about our roads, that whole infrastructure. We want to hear about tangible things, not projects that we're hoping to get some financing for and we write it up and we're waiting on an award. We want to get real things that is going to happen. We want to hear how this so many of the youth. We have more money for the youth. I want to see is there a plan as to how much go into what aspect of the intervention for the youth? Is it for poultry, or is it for sewing clothes? Is it for, so I need to see about that. We also want to see what's going on with food security. We want to see what is going on in the Ministry of Agriculture, in particular, the staffing, the farm mechanization. You know, this thing has been done. I'm not sure if the government closed it down, if they're going to put it back up. So farmers right now cannot get, the other dependent private operators paying a lot of money for this thing. We have to look and see how do we look at the issue of the tourism. I'm very concerned about tourism, and to see what commitment is tourism making to connect back to agriculture. And it don't have to be money, but policy statements and so on regarding that. I want to see the whole issue of education and scholarships for young people in agriculture. As I was saying earlier on, we have the TAMCC, but at the end of the day, the agriculture program at the TAMCC, is it what we need? Is it only crop? When we have opportunities in beekeeping, where we have opportunities that we cannot supply enough CMOS, based on the CMOS market, where we have fish, and we cannot even process fish.
We got to run.
You know, so those are those things.
Yeah.
So whatever money that the government will allocate, what I want to say is that government, we will help you spend the money wisely.
Yeah, but I think it has to be more of, because as you want to hear, their plan must interface with what the needs you have.
But you
so
see,
then on the farmer end, how are they assisted to become more organized?
Yes.
What is going to go in place to ensure that while they farm their businesses, some of the things you mentioned earlier. So there must be a meeting of it.
But I will tell you quickly before
Can't work like that.
But quickly
anymore.
before you go, is that the agriculture consultation part would have taken place about 3 or 4 months ago.
Before you
basically COVID time, it's been kind of difficult.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping, my plan is that soon as January come in the early new year, we can start organizing as the farmers and start directing where we want to see in consultation with the government. So then the support, and not just the government, the private sector, the bankers will engage because they need, for example, the cost of inputs. How do we sit down and negotiate that? Do we need price control on these items? I don't know, maybe.
Yeah. How are we getting nutmegs from bags to boxes?
Well, into something.
Let's go. So anyway, final before we go?
No, I would only end on one thing. I would love to see the day when we move away from fish market to fish processing. And I end right there.
Good point. Good point.
I tired say it and I want to see it happen.
It will happen. There is some work going on that right now in the background, so you'll hear about that shortly.
Mr. Campbell?
I think we all realize that agriculture is here to stay. It can have a more important and dominant role in the economy as we go forward, given livelihoods. And I am hopeful. It could happen. And I'm looking forward to the budget on Wednesday, as Roderick said, to see what comes out, what's the policy, what's the direction. With a new minister too, that should help.
Indeed.
Well, ministers,
Ministers, because you have fisheries and agriculture.
And it's good.
Two ministers.
Two ministers.
And it's good.
Senator St Clair? Your final word.
My final word is I will say that I'm here to serve the farmers and the fisher folks of this country in all space. I'm very open for connection. I give my commitment to continue to work as I've been doing before. So this is not new, it's just maybe in a new position. They have my undivided support, if they want to say that, from the government end, and I've held discussion with the 2 ministers. I say, look, I'm not here about cussing and fight. I won't cuss you, we won't fight. That ain't gonna happen. We come in to discuss the farmers' business, and as they say, this is the expectation. I'm not involved in no politics, although Chris said, well, the politics is the farmers' business, and they are the ones I'm coming to represent. And so there'll be times in the Senate, and I'm saying, I have to vote the divisional vote, I have to vote one way, I vote the other way. It's not about government, about not government. It's about what is in the best interest of the farmers, the fisher folks, but also, bear in mind, I recognize the families, the workers. So what would impact the families and the workers would also impact their productivity. What would impact them in the border space? They're living in Grenada, whether it's something regarding the healthcare, whether it's something involving with whatever it is, education is important. So I would be bearing all of those things in mind. And once we normally get our papers in advance and all of those things, we know what is coming up, I will be in consultation. My plan is to have monthly meetings over that place in Baltazar by Mr. Scaly, where we can come and integrate and have, so we know if it's the 3rd Wednesday in every month and an evening, we come and we discuss, and that is part of my way
See, Brenda, the benefit of youth in the parliament.
Yes,
It's
energy.
We want to have like a
market,
maybe like a monthly market where farmers could come and we're not competing with marketing board. with that initiative, I want to lead, which is a buy local, eat local,
If you want
but
to
marketing board can
I'm
come
happy for you
maybe
to
and
compete.
buy.
I'm happy if you want
Marketing
to
board
compete.
can come and buy in bulk there, rather than having to run around the country to get. So all that is some of the partnership that Mr. Skilly is thinking about, and he also has the river tube in there too. So maybe you could, so it's a real integrated approach that I want to use it as a nice little project that we can really show that what can be done. People ask me if I'm excited. I'm not really excited.
You are. It shows.
Look excited.
No, maybe but I'm not feeling excitement because I don't want to lose the energy. You know, when you're running, they say if you warm up too much and you lose the energy. But
All right.
it's part of our life. I recall that. That is what makes us. That is what I grew up in. In Ladig, for example, I mean, I recall there's been the farming, the folks come out way and we also be investing in the
all our generations come from farming.
Yeah, so
you don't have a choice.
So we must not run away. And who don't know about the farming?
But we must run away now.
Yeah.
Who don't know about the
Run
farming?
over
Just
time.
contact me and we'll get you to a farm for a day and get experience.
Get them
That's
excited.
it. Get you to a farm for a day tour. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well,
There you go, another initiative. There you go. You just bubbling.
Let's stop.
So
it.
just direct it and focus
Yes,
it.
yes,
Thank you
yes.
so much. Thank you
Thank you,
so
no
very
problem.
much, Senator St Clair. I want to wish you all the best in your tenure as a senator, and I know it's going to be exciting. I know it's going to be really exciting. And of course, attract people like yourself, and let's get this moving. And start back talking tourism. All you have to hug up.
Yeah. I want the ring. When I get the ring,
want the
I want
ring?
the symbolic ring.
Senator Allie, thank you so very much.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you so very much. And Mr. Campbell, thank you guys
Pleasure.
so very much. Nazim Benjamin provided our streaming services. Thank you, Nazim. For Richie Oliver, our executive producer, and Kishan Thomas, our producer. And Brenda Baptiste. Until another perspective next Monday. Bye-bye.